What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Evil and Intoxicated with me and the infamous Ted Czech. We're going to be doing the TUF 25 episode 3 recap. What's going on, Ted?
Hey, Eddie. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right, man. It's been a crazy week over here, man, but I was so excited and looking forward to this episode of Ultimate Fighter. But I'll tell you what, man, it wasn't my favorite.
Why not? Why was it not your favorite? I mean, every episode can't be your favorite, but why was it, not so great in your?
I feel like they were just really repeating Jesse's story. Like, we already found out Jesse's story in the first episode. They really kind of replayed. Pretty much.
You're right. They did do a little bit of that. That's true. I mean, they went into it in more detail, but yeah, we did hear. They did rehash some of the same stuff about that he blew the Ultimate Fighter. Whatever. What was it? Season 7 or something like that. You blew it. He totally, he totally blew that. We get that. I mean, he went into a little bit more about his family and everything. And they spent probably twice as much time on him as they did on Mehdi Baghdad.
Yeah, I mean, definitely realized that.
Does he or does he not? I was a little confused. Does he have a wife and kids and all that wherever his country? He has a French accent. Is he actually from France?
No, I do not believe he's from France, but I know that he does have an American father. I do believe that he is overseas, though. He's not living here in America, I don't believe.
Oh, he said he did. He said he came over here and all he does is
he came over here and he actually trained with Jesse actually for a little bit, he was saying.
Yep, that's true. So that's kind of interesting that they know each other, very well.
But you know what, Ted? I want to see more interaction going on in the house with these guys, how they're interacting. They're not doing much focusing on that. And I know there's a lot going on because we all know that there's a lot that they don't show us that happens behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of just seems like they just keep replaying these stories. I understand it's the redemption season, but come on, you already told us in the first episode what's going on with Jesse. We're kind of familiar with Mehdi at the same time. Let's see some of the fighters get together and what's going on at that house, in my opinion. Focus more on TJ and Cody.
The only thing we saw was Jesse running around naked.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to get into that in just a second, guys. And once we get through this Ultimate Fighter Season 3, we're going to be giving a quick recap of the latest and greatest MMA news. We got the live chat room open. If you want to follow us and let us know what you think about tonight's episode, let us know on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA and also at Ted Czech. That's TEDCZECH. But like I said, Ted, it started with Jesse, and you were actually asking me, I don't know how long he's been out of the UFC, how many fights he had. He said it tonight, 42 times before coming back to this season Ultimate Fighter.
And so his record is, what was his record, like 35-10 or something along those lines. So he actually only had a couple of fights before he got into the UFC, but still, that's pretty amazing. 42 fights outside of the UFC. That's how long it took him. That's how many times he had to fight until he could get back into the UFC, or at least, back onto TUF. So, wow. You got to praise the guy for his, for staying motivated, for just sticking with it all these years,
One thing I do got to give both these guys congrats for is making weight. They had a really easy weight cut, both of them. And you know what? Mehdi Baghdad was even saying, I feel so much better at this weight than I did on TUF 22 when he beat Artem Lobov and then lost to Julian Erosa. I was really happy that both guys made weight, and they both looked really good. But once the fight started, man, and we're going to get into that in a second, Mehdi wasn't very impressive to me at all. I mean, Jesse's a great fighter, but Mehdi, man, he was just shook.
Yeah, didn't Dillashaw say that he thought that he saw the fear register on Mehdi Baghdad's face as soon as he mentioned that he would be fighting Jesse Taylor?
Yeah,
he right from then he was like, "Oh shit." So maybe there was that. It's the classic striker versus wrestler, and it boils down to who is better at their craft. Who is Taylor going to be able to work his game as a wrestler versus Baghdad as I think Dana White said, a world-class striker.
Yeah, a kickboxer and Muay Thai. He went through that whole season of Ultimate Fighter 22 with a broken hand, so we didn't really get to see the best of him, even though he did beat Artem. But you know what, Ted? There was a really funny point in this episode, and we saw it on Season 22 as well, with Tom Glitchio walking around naked, taking baths. And tonight we saw Jesse hanging out in the yard like a monkey, butt naked. Have you ever done that, Ted?
Funny. Well, hold on. Funny you say monkey, because that's what they called him the first time around. They called him Coco the Monkey.
Coco the Monkey.
that was his nickname the first time he was on The Ultimate Fighter. And yes, I have gone streaking. We're going streaking!
No way. You went streaking before.
Oh yeah, in school. I did it in college.
You went streaking in college, Ted. You were Will Ferrell on Old School.
And okay, so I could have gone through like the quad, the lawn or whatever, but we were in a building, so we ran back and forth inside a building. It was like late at night, but the building was all lit up. Like if you were in
streaker.
Yeah, if you were on the what they call the quad, it's like just a big grassy area.
Grassy knoll.
Yeah, if you were there and you were looking, you could have seen it because there's all these windows right here and it's all lit up. Anyway, a lot of fun.
You're crazy, man. No, I've never gone streaking. But I caught my brother in the pool one time with a bunch of people butt naked. That's the farthest I've gone. My uncle actually mooned his teacher in high school. That was a big funny thing. But yeah, man, why is he walking around the house full of guys naked? I mean, he was on weight. Well, pretty much he weighed.
I think he was just celebrating that. I think he was just happy that he made weight, and I mean, he's still a little bit crazy, right? He's not as crazy as he was however many years ago, but I still got a little bit of that in him. So whatever.
And you know what, Ted, you were saying on one of the past episodes, you looked into the results of how many people are viewing in. Honestly, man, tonight, if somebody tuned in, they probably wouldn't tune in next week, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah. It was a little bit of a departure because I don't know. They didn't show much in the way of training, right? We were kind of lax on the training. We were big on the behind the scenes, or not behind the scenes, delving into the pasts, especially Taylor.
Again.
Not so much on the training. And I was starting to think, as the episode closed, I started thinking, well, we haven't seen any arguing between TJ and Cody. And there we go, right at the end. We had some. Because I tend to think like, oh, man, it's going to kind of get a little stale after a while. You know what I mean? It's just kind of the same stuff. But TJ was, giving it back to Cody. Like everyone's saying, oh, TJ's getting bullied and stuff like that. But he was saying, oh, I'm gonna run through you, et cetera, et cetera. So, he was giving it back to Cody. So that's pretty cool.
That's another thing, man. I wanted to see more training, like you just brought up, because we were talking about it last time. It looks like TJ has a really good relationship with his team. But honestly, tonight, from what I saw, Cody's kind of picking up that coach mentality as well. Well,
that's good. That's good. Everybody needs that, right? I mean, hopefully it's not something exclusive to Team Dillashaw. But I got to say, though, after the fight, well, I mean, everybody knows. I mean, we're not going to. Just going to say after the fight, then Cody's team, was, not doing so hot.
So let's jump into it, Ted. I mean,
like their morale. You know what I'm saying? Like their morale was down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. And we definitely got to discuss that in a second, guys. We got the live chat room open. If you guys want to jump in there or tweet us at @MMA or at Ted Czech. But Ted, there was nothing really going on in this episode. It really focused on the fight. So let's jump into that fight. First off, I got to ask you, who are you kind of favoring going into it?
Well, I mean, striker versus grappler. I mean, that could be anybody's game, but I got to say, I wasn't too familiar with Mehdi Baghdad. Not as well as JT Money, Jesse Taylor. So, yeah, I was probably leaning towards Taylor. But then again, there's always that chance that a wrestler shooting in is going to get caught with something, caught with a knee, caught with a punch, caught with a kick. So. I thought maybe Taylor could do it, but really, I mean, Baghdad had one punch. He landed one major punch on Taylor, and that was it.
Yeah. You know what? I was kind of favoring Jesse as well. I didn't know what to really expect from Mehdi. I mean, that first season that he was on, we couldn't really tell much. He did beat Artem, like I said. But once the fight started, man, I was definitely on tune with Jesse, especially with how Mehdi was acting. I think that was a big big thing, because on that season, The Ultimate Fighter that he was on with Connor, he was kind of acting like a big shot, had a lot of swag. He was that guy on, you know?
I can't remember that. Okay, I'll take your word for it though. Yeah. So not this time around though.
Yeah, it just seems like his morale is just down. And once the fight started, he got taken out in the first 10 seconds by Jesse Taylor.
Yep, he sure did. And I'm just looking at my notes here. Taylor took his back at one point, got mount. Was just having his way with him on the ground. Mehdi did sweep at one point, so he was able to get up. Then there was another takedown by Taylor, more ground and pound. Took his back again, mount again. Taylor going for the RNC. So yeah, it was total domination by Jesse Taylor on the ground. Just ground control. And so yeah, he definitely won that round for sure.
It's interesting, man, because he was just going and going and going. His cardio looks like it's in a good spot. You can tell how hungry he is, how much this has been bothering him, that he went through that whole season of Ultimate Fighter and wasn't able to get to the finale. You can even tell how high his spirit was when he got kicked off, walking around, kicking out limo windows, getting a little crazy. I think he's learned a lot now, and he's really determined, and I think he's going to do pretty good on this season. But I was really shocked with how he just kept going, how he kept keeping it up. He was able to take a dominant control, and like you said, Mehdi only really landed one punch. And once that second round started, that was probably a 10-8.
Yeah, and that just crossed my mind too. Maybe it was, and they say for a 10-8, you don't have to dominate for the entire round. But he definitely did. It's just I don't. There's other considerations as well. He landed a nice elbow. I think that was in the first round, wasn't it? That cut Baghdad.
Yeah, wide open.
Here. Yep. So it was it could have been a 10-8. Yeah. And they say, the judges need to be a little bit more liberal with not so stingy with the 10-8, so that could have been a 10-8,
Honestly, I was really pushing for this to be one of the most exciting fights on the season. There's a lot of people that probably were watching tonight, and this is what I mean. For the new people that tuned in, they were probably like, switch the channel. You know what I mean? Going into the second round, it was the same thing again. Mehdi was just trying to fight for the submission. He did get up at one point in the first round, but he really didn't do anything in this fight. He wasn't able to do anything at all. Wasn't able to get back up. He was just smothered.
Yeah, but did you notice that Taylor was breathing pretty heavily between the first and second rounds?
Oh, I'm not surprised, man. He was going ham. He was in beast mode.
Yeah. So he
was this morning in beast mode.
he had some heavy breathing there. Do you remember there was a kind of, I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. There was a questionable knee by Baghdad. Taylor may have been a grounded opponent because you heard the ref. The ref said, "Hey, be careful. Be careful with that knee." Mm-hmm. Now, the knee might have landed on the shoulder and not on the head or face. But do you remember that? It was early in the round. I think Taylor had just gone for a takedown, and Baghdad landed a knee. But the fight went on. There was that punch. I think it was a left hook that I don't know, it was a hook or an uppercut, kind of somewhere in there, landed and wobbled Taylor, but he was able to even get a takedown after that.
Yeah,
and then it was just second burst, same as the first. He just Taylor got him on the ground and in his guard, ground and pound until the bell sounded.
Well, are you surprised he wasn't able to finish Mehdi? Because I was kind of surprised. I thought he was able to do it in that very first round. Mehdi was really fighting it off, but a couple times he had that choke really sunk in, but then just kept giving up on it.
Yeah, I don't know what to attribute that to. Is it a testament to Baghdad just being able to having the skills to fight off the RNC, or Taylor, a wrestler who, how much jiu-jitsu does the guy know? Even at this stage of the game, Can he sink in a rear naked choke with authority?
And it's going to be interesting seeing who he's going to be matched up again after this fight. But unfortunately, Mehdi Baghdad is no longer part of this season. I know there's a lot of people that really favored him on past seasons, and I was excited to see what this fight was going to bring. Not what I wanted. Not happy with it. Not happy with this entire episode. Ted, why don't you fill everyone in on what happened afterwards?
Oh well, yeah, there was more arguing by TJ and Cody, kind of just talking about. Well, see, I mean, Cody is every week, he loses, and it seems like he's getting more and more pissed off that and frustrated and angry that he's losing.
Yeah.
Because even though he's not in there fighting, it's his team versus TJ's team, and he just doesn't want to lose to anything. He doesn't want to lose to TJ in any way, shape, matter, or form. No way.
Yeah.
It
takes a mental toll, even though, like you said, it's not him. It's mentally draining him of excitement or, motivation.
Yeah.
Almost,
so then the two of them are waiting to go through the doors for the fight announcement. And what was he talking about? What was Cody talking about? Winning. TJ saying, "Oh, I'm getting used to winning," or whatever. And then he said he's going to run through Cody, and Cody saying, "Well, what about Cruz? Dominic Cruz, beat you." And I don't know. It just went on like that. I was like, "Oh, here we go." I thought we were gonna miss all this, but there they go. They went on arguing. So it is what it is, right?
So next week, we're in for a pretty good fight with somebody that they had to bring back in because whatchamacallit didn't make weight. What was his name? Hector Urbina. He missed weight, so they brought in Johnny Nunez, who's going to be fighting who, Ted?
Johnny Nunez is fighting James Krause, who is the only guy, according to Dana White, who's currently on the UFC roster.
And Dana actually said this is the last chance for Johnny Nunez to kind of put himself in there and prove that he's ready to be in the UFC. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you really didn't see much of him on season 20. Another guy from season 22. There's 3 guys now from season 22.
I got to tell you, got to be honest with you, the guy's not on my radar. This Nunez guy or Nunez, is he Nunez or is he Nunez?
Nunez, Johnny Nunez.
Nunez. Because you got Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
Nunes. She's Nunes because she's Portuguese. This guy, I think, is Hispanic, so you'd think it would be Nunez. But anyway, whatever. He's fighting James Krause. I was just looking at the two of them standing there. Krause looked like at least a weight class above Nunes.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
A big dude.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be interesting. And Johnny Nunez, he has really good wrestling. That's one thing that really stands out about him. And he's young and fresh, and he wants to be in the UFC. For Krause, though, I mean, where do you think he is mentally right now from what we've seen so far?
Well, I think I don't know, but I mean, he's on the bubble, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, if he was firmly in the UFC, he wouldn't be on this show.
There's a lot of stress on his shoulder.
Kind of sink or swim for him. He's at a crossroads here. But, I mean, technically he's still in the UFC, but I also see it as he's fighting for his job. So I'm sure he's taking it very seriously.
So do you believe that if he does lose this upcoming fight, he's out of the UFC? That's it? He's gone? No more Krause?
Well, what is he? What's his record? Hold on, I'll unless you know off the top of your head.
No, I don't.
I don't. But I'm just guessing. Well, let me just stop guessing, and I'll just look him up. All right, hold on a sec here.
And guys, make sure you let us know what you guys think is going to happen next week. Who you are favoring to win this upcoming fight against Nunez and Krause at Pure Evil MMA and also at Ted Czech. We've been getting a lot of people tuning in. And guys, I've been so far behind on all my work. I got so much going on in my life. So, I'm trying to get up to date here. Ted, what do you got pulled up there?
Well, here's the deal. First of all, Krause is 6'2".
Jeez.
I mean, that's pretty damn tall for a welterweight. Probably cuts, from well over or somewhere over 200 pounds. But he's on a 2-fight win streak, believe it or not. Darren Cruikshank by submission, rear naked choke, and then most recently Shane Campbell by unanimous decision. So that is a little bit surprising. Prior to that, 2 losses, but still he's on a 2-fight win streak. See, that to me is a little bit puzzling because you'd think this guy would only be on the show if he was on the bubble. You know what I mean? If maybe he was sitting on a 2-fight losing streak. So it's a little bewildering.
You know, I'm looking at Twitter right now, man, and so many people are saying Cody is a shitty coach. It looks like there's a lot of people actually teaming up with TJ, man. He's coming out because there's always a good guy and a bad guy on these seasons. And this season, man, TJ is coming up out on top with the fans here, which is actually surprising because I really thought that Cody Noloff had a pretty big fan club.
Oh, I think he does, but it may be, you know, I think we talked about this before. It may be turning into one of these Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate things where, you know, the true colors come out. And, I mean, Cody, I think, you know, endeared himself to fans, you know, by when he kind of adopted that kid, you know, before he fought Dominic Cruz. Remember the little boy that was with him, and he got a tattoo for the little boy and said, hey, man, I'm going to give you the belt, or, you know, you can walk me to the cage, et cetera, all that stuff. That relationship was really cool. But now you're seeing him just going after TJ like a shark, and or like as he said, the eagle grabs the snake, poof, right? But he's just not coming off right. You know what I mean? I mean, he's loyal, and that's to be commended too. I mean, he is loyal. He's a ride or die guy for Team Alpha Male. And TJ, on the other hand, you know, was like, hey, you know what? I got a better offer over here, so I'm going. So I don't know. I don't know whose side I'm on with all that, but yeah, I don't think that Cody is getting a lot of extra fans, you know, other than what he already had from this.
There's one quote that TJ had, man, and it really stood out to me tonight. He said, maybe you should worry about your team. Maybe they'll win a fight.
No, that's very good. I'm glad. Yeah, I do remember him saying that. Yep, that's. I think he was on point there. You know, Cody does come off also as a little bit obsessed with TJ, and it's like, yeah, maybe you got bigger fish to fry. Don't worry about me. Worry about your team.
Yeah, I think Jesse Taylor has one of the best redemption stories on this season, so I'm excited to see what happens next with him and see more of this fighting, but I do want to see what's going on in the house a little more. Stop showing these backstories, and if you are, don't spend every 10 minutes before commercial break. Focus on that and then jump into the fight. I don't like that. We want to know what's going on in the house. That's where the excitement's at. We want to live in now. Understand it's redemption. Ted, out of 10 stars, what do you rate tonight's show?
Oh, man. What did we say last week was? Like a 9.5?
It was, yeah. Because
I give tonight's show an 8.
You're giving tonight's show an 8. I'm actually going to give tonight's show probably a 6.
Okay.
You know, if I was a new fan, like I said, I'd probably change the channel tonight. It just wasn't it for me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it wasn't the best representation, but I mean, you know, I mean, there it was. I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, they went into Taylor's life. I thought a little too much. I agree with you on that. You know, more training would have been kind of cool. Yeah, you know what they got to do? I agree with you. They got to do. Look, these guys. There's got to be some tension, some contention in that house. You know, with even though a lot of these fighters are older. This ain't their first rodeo. They've been to the house before, but even so, there's going to be egos abounding, and Julian Lane is one crazy mofo. So you know, just put a camera on that guy like 24/7 and see what happens.
Well, what do you guys rate this show? Let us know at Pure Evil MMA and also at Ted Czech. All right, Ted, I think it's time to jump into some MMA news. It's been kind of a weird week. There is a little downspout because we don't have any UFC events for another week or so, another 2 weeks before we get to UFC 211, which is an absolutely stacked card. So, Ted, what's the first topic you want to jump into? Is it the Bisping news? What is it?
I mean, it's kind of all kind of mixed together. GSP tweeted out recently. He was with some other dude sitting there in Madison Square Garden for, I don't know whether it was hockey or basketball, something. Probably hockey because he's Canadian. But he tweeted out the photo, and then he said, I could be fighting here in the next few months. So isn't that something? What is WME IMG cooking up for Bisping versus GSP? Could it be another MSG show? I mean, they did fantastic numbers. Didn't they break the gate record?
UFC 205 that you're referring to, yes, but
205.
every other card has been a disaster, Ted.
A disaster.
A disaster, Ted.
Well, I don't think 211 is going to be a disaster. I don't know about 212, but I mean, it'll do great in Brazil, of course. Yeah, I mean, they need to turn things around, right?
It's been a confusing week. Me and you were kind of going back and forth discussing it. I mean, originally it was locked in. We were going to see Bisping versus GSP. But now we've been seeing a lot of drama with Bisping, talking crap about other people, and GSP really not signing the dotted line, apparently.
Yeah, I guess the one thing we don't know is where and when.
Yeah.
We don't know where and when, and maybe they're just holding off on that, kind of seeing if they can get a date at Madison Square Garden. Maybe that's the holdup. I don't know. I mean, the sentiment out there amongst people is that it's GSP. GSP is dragging his feet and holding up the fight. He says he wants to do it, but he doesn't know when he wants to do it or whatever. So that's just the theory that's out there, is that he's holding it up. But yeah, Bisping then got into it with Jorge Masvidal, a guy a weight class below him. I don't know who started it. I can't remember, but Bisping said something about lick my British balls, and Masvidal saying you're a duck, you're ducking Romero, and so. I'm thinking, well, damn. I mean, is Masvidal gonna jump up and try to take on Bisping?
I don't think he should do that. I mean, Ted, honestly, he's been on such a run lately, and there's so many people that are now pumping behind him that are kind of rooting for him after he beat Cowboy in the way that he did.
Are you talking about Masvidal? Yeah.
Masvidal.
Well, yeah, I mean, whoever wins Masvidal versus Maia is going to be in a great position to challenge for the title. Now, also in this kind of broad topic, we had to bring in Tyron Woodley, the current welterweight champion. He said he was, I don't know when he's got everybody got a podcast. Even two schmoes named Eddie and Ted got a podcast, but Tyron Woodley has one, and what does he call it? Morning Wood, but then somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah,
then somebody said no, it's called D's Nuts. Got him. D's Nuts.
I think that is right. I think it is D's Nuts.
Now it's D's Nuts with Morning Wood?
I think so. It's something like that.
Well, because his co-host is Dean Thomas, so it's D's Nuts and Morning Wood. I guess, I don't know. I suggested maybe they should rename it Just the Tip.
Just the Tip.
I don't know. It's just an idea. So, but anyway, so Tyron Woodley said he's going to announce it on his podcast, whenever that is. I don't know. But, the where and the when, or the who, who he's going to be fighting, where he said July. He's already said July. So his opponent. But I don't know if that's happened yet. My theory is the UFC is going to wait until 211 and announce it then, because it's only in another week, and they're going to have a crap ton of eyes on the product. Usually they make at least one or two big announcements, right?
Yeah.
During pay-per-views.
Well, one of the rumors last week that I kind of shut down was Woodley versus Gunnar Nelson. I was not too excited about that. There were also other rumors about Woodley. There was the McGregor rumor. There was a whole bunch of rumors that didn't really do much for me. The one money fight, I guess, so to say, was who were they trying
Diaz?
Yeah, there you go. They were trying to get him up with Nick Diaz. I thought that was a perfect idea. That's a money fight. That's not a good idea for Nick, in my opinion, but it's a good money fight that Woodley really is pushing for.
Yeah, I mean, Dana White, I think I saw a new quote from him, although it's kind of the same thing that he's been saying, is that he doesn't know if the Diaz brothers are ever going to fight again. I don't know whether it's... but then somebody else was telling me today, I think it was our friend Jeff Stinson was saying that... who was it? Nick just started training. So he's off the he's off the weed and he's back to training. So is that an indicator that it's going to be him? But then we've got Conor McGregor saying that he's training for his next fight. Who is that? Against whom? We don't know. Is it against Mayweather? Is it against Woodley? Is he going to be defending the lightweight belt like he should have done a long time ago? You know, we don't know. So there's just so much speculation swirling around here, and we're just here to add to the confusion, right, Eddie?
We also got Ferguson on the sidelines. I really do want to see Conor McGregor defend the title. I think that's what everyone wants. If not defend the title, what is he really going to do? I mean, obviously, the only other option is the Mayweather fight. That's what he's probably getting ready for. What do you think? What's going on here? He's got to defend the title, Ted. He has to. All
right. I'm going to go out on the limbs because on one limb. I said I'm going to go out on the limbs. I'm going to go out on one limb. I'm going to turn over a new tree. No, I think that I had heard that the talks had stalled. I heard that the talks had stalled between Mayweather and McGregor, and you even had Jeff Mayweather. Floyd Sr. I think it was Floyd Sr. saying, "Heck, I'm 64. I could kick your ass." I think that's just like a last-ditch effort to get Conor to sign something. So I'm going to go on the kind of that it's not really an assumption, but it's a rumor that fight has been delayed. So I'm going to say that's out of the picture for now. Conor's training. He's going to fight Woodley because that's just my opinion. This is my theory. Why? Because we know Conor is all about legacy, right? He's all about legacy. He's about gaining belts. He's not about defending belts. He doesn't give a crap about defending a belt. He just wants to it's the gaining that's important. Right
off the bat, Ted, that makes me so nervous. But there is that beef that's going on. Remember the presser that they had in New York? They were kind of beefing backstage a couple of times. They were beefing on stage and then behind the scenes as well. So you do have that going. And Woodley did respond, if you want to move up, this is the big boy level, and we punch a lot harder than what you guys do down there.
Well, I mean, I mean, Conor's got to watch out, of course, for the big right hand and the takedown. Jeff Stinson checking in. He says Cody or TJ. Cody or TJ. I'll flip it to you, Eddie. Who are you picking, Cody or TJ?
In the fight?
In the fight.
I'm going with Cody No Love to win it.
Okay.
But TJ could this is the thing. Cody is more of a knockaround guy where he's going to knock you down and probably finish the fight early. We've seen him do a lot of first round finishes. How TJ, on the other hand, takes a little time. He kind of beats you down piece by piece by piece from your head to your chest to your legs until you're really just like fragile, and then he'll just pounce on top of you, bang you out, and finish the fight. We saw it with Barao. We saw it with a bunch of guys that TJ has fought.
Yeah. All right. So here's Love Stop is checking in. Love Stop
with a little bit of love.
It doesn't matter. It's like a rest stop, but for whatever you want to do. So you just pull over on the side of the road. It's a love stop.
Love stop, baby, love stop.
Oh, no, don't. That's like my wife's favorite song, and I friggin' hate it. Anyway. All right, so, oh, shit, now I can't think of it. Now I totally lost my train of thought.
Do you want to get TJ or Cody?
Oh, TJ or Cody. All right, so here's the deal. See, I think some people are using MMA math. They're going,
can't do that.
Well, Dominic Cruz beat TJ. And then Cody came along and beat Cruz, so therefore Cody beats TJ. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Are you guys forgetting how close that fight between TJ was? Originally, when I first watched it, I thought TJ had won. Upon review, Ted, I know you're totally against that, reviewing a fight. I did side for Dominic Cruz. That was a close fight.
Oh, going back and watching it a second time?
Yeah, and you know what I really liked about TJ in that Dominic Cruz fight? Was how many combinations that he was going after. He did miss a lot, but he was landing them. He was going in there throwing flurries and then like the kicks. I thought he did a really good job in that fight. And then after that, he gets 2 more wins to come back. But no finishes.
Okay. I don't know if I had it right the first time. Cruz beat TJ, then Cody beat Cruz, so therefore Cody beats TJ. That I think some people are looking at it like that, but it's like, we're talking about 3 different fighters here. And anything can happen. It's mixed martial arts. Plus, TJ, it's just a different mix here. TJ versus Cody is not the same thing as TJ versus Cruz. You know, so you know, Dwayne Bang Ludwig is an excellent coach.
Yeah.
Well, I just think with so much emotion involved, especially on Cody's part, you know, that burns so much energy. You know what I mean? If you are angry,
he uses that to his advantage, though. We've seen that in a lot of his fights. He uses that kind of emotional drama, even when it's not really connecting. Even if it's not there, he kind of makes it up and starts a little something, give him that little bit of edge.
But do you think? But he's never been this emotional about anybody before. He's never been this angry at anyone before, like he is with Dillashaw.
And there were rumors that apparently, allegedly, he knocked TJ out in sparring practice. But you got to remember, that was a while ago. And like you just said, Ted, now he's training with Dwayne Bang Ludwig, a guy who holds one of the quickest knockout records in the UFC. Am I wrong?
What? Was it Ludwig, or did he get knocked out really quickly?
No, I believe he got like a 6-second knockout under his belt. He might have been knocked out pretty quickly, but I do know that he holds a record.
You might be right. So Jeff is saying, I think Cody has the standing game, but if it goes to the ground, it's all TJ. Although Garbrandt does have a wrestling background as well, right? Garbrandt was at least a high school wrestler. I don't think he attended college.
His uncle was a boxer.
Or maybe, yeah. I mean, I think he had a little wrestling in there too. And he's so athletic. I think he'll be able to stop some takedowns. But
well, you know what?
Oh, good.
TJ in his last fight, who was it against? A Sunsao? Who was his last fight? A Sunsao. I think that might have been. He literally landed so many beautiful takedowns that I was blown away by. He would throw like a feint or a jab and then just tackle you. It was beautiful.
Kind of like a Frankie Edgar kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Love Stop is saying, well, yeah, but Cody has retard strength.
Never go of mice and men.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna go with TJ.
Yeah.
I was leaning towards Cody, and it's not just because you chose Cody, but I just there's just so many, intangibles, so to speak. The emotions going into it, and TJ just seems so much more relaxed, and chill, and I think that's going to work in his favor. I really do.
Well, you know what, Ted? A lot of people might forget that Cody last year wasn't even ranked in the top 15 in the top 10. He just recently was able to jump up. He had a beautiful fight against Dominic Cruz, a beautiful fight against Thomas Almeida. But before that, if you're looking back, Brimage and a couple of the other guys that he's fought is really not up to the level. So we're going to see what happens there. But I do agree with you on that side. TJ is more of the calm, relaxed, and that helps. That veteran aspect, that mentality helps. And I like what who said it? Love Stop. He's got retard strength.
Yeah. All right. You got to listen to what he's saying now.
All right.
He's saying you and I, since we picked, you picked Cody, I picked TJ. Now we got to make a bet.
Bet what?
Well, he's saying we got to take a ping pong paddle.
Don't.
Wait.
Finish it.
He said up the ass.
Okay.
I'm thinking, okay, I'll spank myself with it, but I'm not going up it. No.
Now
I'll hit myself. I got a ping pong paddle around here somewhere. I'll hit myself with it, but that's it. That's as far as I go, man. Ain't nothing going up there.
We could think of something a little better than that. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, the fight's not for how long?
It's going to be quite some time. International Fight Week is what, July?
July. All right. So we got some time to think about a bet.
So let's ask our listeners, Ted. What do you guys think our bet should be? There's millions of ideas. That one I'm not down for. The whole ping pong paddle ball, not into that.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I'll tase myself. I don't know, something.
But jumping back into things here, Ted. Woodley, the fight with Woodley. I think the only fight that you need to make there is Woodley versus Nick Diaz, but that does go against what I was originally saying. He just needs to win. Doesn't need to be against a big name. Now I'm saying, fight for the title. But I think that makes sense.
It would definitely satisfy the whole money fight thing, and I think nowadays, WME IMG is as much into money fights as as the fighters are, because they're just looking to recoup, the 4.2 billion. Oh, Jay Wu checking in. What's up, Jay? He's saying bullshit. I'm not sure what he's calling bullshit on, the ping pong paddle thing, or that you're picking Cody and I'm picking TJ, or okay. Love Stop is clarifying. It's a quote from Beer Fest. If you haven't seen it, watch that shit about the ping pong paddle up the ass, not the handle.
Das Boots. The Das Boots. But seriously though, Ted,
yes, Eddie.
That's the money fight. I don't like the Gunnar Nelson thing. I don't like the Conor McGregor fight.
Well, Conor definitely fits as far as money. That fits. And then, like I said, with Conor, he'll be the first guy to ever have 3 belts in the UFC. I mean, that's what he's all about. He's all about breaking records and establishing a legacy that, in his mind, nobody is going to ever be able to compare to. So that fits the bill, wouldn't you say?
Originally, I was all about that, but I just kind of get frustrated with him holding up the divisions. I'm a huge fan of Conor, but I want to see freaking Tony Ferguson get in there. I want to see the people who actually deserve the shot go in there and fight for the title.
I agree with you. It's not him, and right now he seems to be kind of running the table.
Yeah.
He seems to be the one to kind of dictate things. He knows the dire straits that, I don't want to say dire straits, but he knows there's, I guess, at least a certain amount of I don't know how to put it exactly. The WME IMG wants to speed things along and start making some friggin' money.
I'll tell you what.
He knows that. What's that?
Huge missed opportunity with Khabib not being able to fight Tony. They had the perfect track going to really set that fight up, and without it, I mean, the interest isn't there anymore, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that was going to be for the #1 contender.
They had some big things going there. A lot of people were getting behind that fight.
Yep. And so I think Conor's like, well, fine. That's all screwed up. So I can go do whatever the hell I want. Mm-hmm. That's my in, because that fight got screwed up.
So now Bisping, that fight is up in the air, so we have to see what goes on between that, GSP, Jorge Masvidal. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of confusion here, Ted. But another thing we got to touch on as we move forward here is Paige Van Zandt making news once again. Ted, what the hell is going on with Paige Van Zandt?
Well, Paige was being sexy Paige. I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, she's not that great a fighter, so she may as well exploit her looks. And it seems like that is the tendency of fighters who are good-looking. Women that, good-looking women who fight. Ronda Rousey, at least with the makeup. Yeah. Actually, Gina Carano did do some modeling in her day. Mm-hmm. Miesha Tate, Paige Van Zandt. The fighters that look good know that they look good. People tell them they do. And people ask them to do certain things, I know that sounded weird. But, I guess... So anyway, Paige Van Zandt did a little video. It was like a little Instagram video. She did it herself. She's filming herself, and she's got the, a top and a bottom Reebok, I don't know, jog bra thing, panty thing. So she's kind of exposing her midriff and rolling around on the carpet and everything. And some people were like, did I just watch some softcore porn or something? Like, what is this? She was kind of being sexy and shit like that. And so there was so much negativity that either she deleted the video on her own or Reebok did. Reebok told her to, something. I don't know, who said what to whom, but somehow the video was taken down.
Paige can't be doing that. She is a role model for a lot of young girls. Let's not forget, Ted, not only is she a beautiful girl, not only is the UFC really trying to push her forward, but she was on that season of Dancing with the Stars and picked up a lot of outsiders to get behind her. She's picked up a lot of fans, man, and she's on a whole bunch of commercials now. Her face is out there. Doing stuff like that kind of rubs me wrong. It kind of reminds me of Miley Cyrus or something like that, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was kind of ambivalent towards it. You know what I mean? I was like, I mean, that's not that bad. I mean, look at Rowdy Beck Rawlings.
Well, I didn't know you were going to bring that up.
You knew it.
I knew it.
She posted this picture. I guess it was on her Instagram. She's in a thong. She's on all fours in a thong, and then she wrote like, up the butt, no kids. Something about vitamin D. So that one I felt compelled to do a video on because I'm like, that might be crossing the line there. I mean, especially because she has kids. And I felt for her kids, thinking that they were going to go to school and everyone would be like, ha ha, your mommy posted a booty pic and she's talking about vitamin D up the butt and all that, ha ha ha. You know what I mean? I was like, that's not right. You can't doom your kids to all that bullying. Why would you want to do that?
Especially since she's somewhat of a celebrity. She too was on a season of Ultimate Fighter and does have a huge group of fans that follow her as well. So I agree with you, Ted. And she didn't like that video that you made, did she?
No, she didn't. No, she. You mentioned her fans. Her fans jumped on me.
Yep.
I think Angela Magana said something because they're close, and then Beck, blocked me on Twitter.
Fire back.
She blocked me, which I don't know that I've ever blocked anyone, no matter what anyone's ever said. I just don't do that.
Except the curmudgeon guy, right? Snowden, right? Didn't you block him or no?
No, I didn't block him. He may have blocked me, but I didn't block him. Bjorn Rebney blocked me. Brendan Schaub blocked me.
What?
Yeah, no, I told you about that. I think that was because I made fun of Brian. He and Brian Callen, I don't know.
Okay.
Wow. Sensitive. Very sensitive.
So, do you think this was the right call for them to take that down? I do.
But it kind of fits her. You know what I mean? She's. I think that female fighters who are good looking kind of feel like they need to do that, like that they need to exploit their looks. That they need to flaunt what they got, you know what I mean? And who can blame them, right?
This is a sad thing. I brought this up to Michelle Watterson before she fought Paige Van Zandt. I was like, do you think, looks has anything to do with them making these fights or them getting behind fighters, promoting them a little more? And she did not want to admit it, but said, unfortunately, it is the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the UFC doesn't seem to be all that big. I mean, look how big they. Granted, Ronda had some great wins in her run, but beyond that, she looked good when she was all made up, and they were all about promoting that woman, saying she was the best and all this kind of stuff. How much have you heard about Amanda Nunes?
Not much at all. I haven't really.
Not much, but I gotta say she looks kind of mannish. You know what I mean? She kind of looks like a dude. So that's why they're like, I don't know, how much can we market this person? She doesn't look like a woman very much.
Well, look what they did with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. If you look at Joanna when she made her debut back in the day, she did not look anything like she does now in the promotional pictures or anything. She looks like a beautiful, young Muay Thai woman that is just, cute and cuddly, but she's a vicious.
She's cute and cuddly.
Vicious girl.
Well, yeah, and she, she's still feminine though. You know what I mean? Like she's still. What in the world are you doing?
When she does the face-offs.
Oh yeah. Like she gets up, she looks up at people. Like if she gets underneath them. She's like, I'm gonna make you look at me.
That shit's scary.
That's great. Scary. But she still retains a certain amount of femininity. She's talked about, someday I want to quit and have kids, et cetera, et cetera. So she still retains that, and every now and then she gets all cleaned up and everything.
Well, that's my point there, Ted. The UFC really pushes the beauty aspect of it because they know it works.
Right, because dudes want to see women that are hot that can also kick their asses. Mm-hmm. Like for some dudes, apparently a lot of dudes, like that's a fetish. I want to have a hot woman kick my ass. Not so much me. I don't. That's not what turns me on. But for some dudes, that's what they want. They're not really behind Amanda Nunes. They don't want to have anything to do hardly with Cyborg. I guess they're going to, and this was one of our topics, but that Cyborg is going to be fighting, we heard, for the featherweight title. It's just we don't know, is it going to be against GDR Jermaine Durandamy, who is kind of flirting with the idea of retiring, or is it going to be against Megan Anderson?
Yeah, Ted, let's jump into it because there's been a lot of rumors about JDR possibly not coming back, and that is who holds the belt in the UFC. Megan Anderson, guys, if you don't know, she's the Invicta FC champion. Once Cyborg left the belt, she did become the, not interim champ, but the actual champ. And the UFC kind of put a tweet out and tried to get everybody's take on it. Everyone was pushing for Megan Anderson. I actually have the rankings here of the world's, top females in that division. Let me pull that up for everybody.
Right.
But of course, Cyborg is at the top. There's Julia Budman. She's only lost to Ronda Rousey and Amanda Nunes. She's also in the picture. You can grab her.
Oh, she just fought not too long ago, right?
Bellator, yes.
In Bellator, yeah. She is like jacked. She's that jacked Canadian chick, right?
Yep. And then you have Charmaine Tweet. You have Amanda Bell, Gabriel Holloway. I mean, not a lot of big names that you guys are really familiar with out there, So this is an issue, and this is kind of why we got to scratch our heads at. Why were they in such a rush to open up this 145-pound division without anyone really behind it? Really, only person in there is Cyborg. Holly's not staying there. Jermaine doesn't seem too excited about fighting Cyborg. I mean, this just wasn't a good idea. And I heard a rumor, Ted. We're going to jump back into the Cyborg talk, but I heard a little rumor. I don't even know if I should say it.
What? No,
I heard a little rumor that they're going to be opening up another division and doing another season Ultimate Fighter with the females of 125 pounds.
Yeah, I think that's a little more than a rumor. I think you might be onto something there. I heard that. I read that too. A headline saying that the next Ultimate Fighter is going to be the 125ers, the flyweights, and whoever wins is crowned the new champ. Yeah, no, I think that's happening.
It's a great idea. They should have done that before they did this 145-pound thing. They Chris Cyborg originally turned down 2 fights before, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to speed things up." It was just a disaster.
Oh, between GDR and Holly.
So now we got Cyborg, who's really wanting to push for a fight, but Megan Anderson is still signed to Invicta. I guess that is the feeder league. But what are your thoughts there, Ted? You bring Megan over, and then what, man?
Megan, yeah, that's right. Before the show, you told me it's not Megan.
It's not Megan. It's Megan.
Not Megan. It's Megan. Geez, I mean, yeah, no,
There's no one in the division. You can't just pick random girls like one at a time for Chris Cyborg. We're just gonna grab from here, from here, from here. You can't do that. Build the division up.
Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, it's in its infancy, right? They've only had 1 fight so far at 145. Yeah, they need to grab. I mean, maybe they can do what they did for the strawweights, which was they totally just raided Invicta's roster. Maybe they could do the same thing. I don't know how many 145ers Invicta has under contract, but if you scour the world, you'll be able to find some, I think.
They should have done that instead of pushing all this, man. So, that was a big headline this week. What do you guys think? Is that the fight that you want to see? Is it Megan Anderson versus Chris Cyborg, or do you have another one that you want to recommend to us? Let us know at Pure Evil MMA and also at Ted Czech. That's TEDCZECH.
You got it. Yeah. So just to continue on with that for a second. So Holly has a fight coming up, right?
Yes.
It's in. It's over in Asia, right?
I believe against. I think they changed it. She was originally supposed to fight a debut girl from South Korea or something like that, but isn't she matched up with Betch Kohea now?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Right?
Yeah. So now she's back to bantamweight.
Yes.
And so she has no plans to get back to featherweight?
I guess not, man. I guess not.
And if Cyborg
3-fight losing streak.
If Cyborg is the champ, I don't know if there's any way that Holly is going to want to go to 145.
That's the fight the UFC was really pushing for to get, was Holly versus Cyborg.
She needs to get back to her winning ways first, I would say.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's on a 3-fight losing streak now. One more, man. What's going to happen to Holly Holm? She's really riding off that that win to Ronda Rousey, and I said it then, and I'm going to say it again. They pushed that too fast. Even though she did get the win over Ronda, she should have, worked her way up a little more, I guess.
Well, I mean,
the stress was on her, man. The stress was on her when she beat Ronda. There was a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but she's been in the fight game a long time.
Yeah,
I mean, I think her first 2 fights in the UFC were kind of lackluster, but then that fight with Ronda, I mean, she just stepped up. She was grace under pressure, exactly when she needed to be, and she's just the kryptonite to Ronda's Superwoman. You know what I mean? She just had everything that she had the perfect game plan. She had everything that Ronda doesn't have. Which basically is a striking game. You know what I mean? So I don't know. She's just the perfect opponent for Ronda.
The point
but maybe
being, there's not many contenders for Chris Cyborg here.
Well, no, I mean, like you say, they'll have to get some then, right? Okay, so get, I don't know, 10 or 12 people, bring them over, and then start having them fight each other as soon as you can to build up your rankings.
They can't just have a 145-pound division with, pulling one person at a time for a title shot. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, that would be kind of strange now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you don't really have a division. You're just feeding Cyborg opponents.
Exactly. Under the UFC banner.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah, no, bring a mess of people over and start matching them up.
Doesn't make sense, Ted. This fight, she could have just stayed at Invicta. She didn't need to relinquish her title. She could have fought Megan and Invicta.
Who, Cyborg?
Cyborg. It might have not have, been a
huge but she always wanted to be in the UFC, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's just a mess, Ted. It's just a mess. What else do we got on today's show?
Well, that was kind of what I had. The Bisping Masvidal, Bisping GSP, Madison Square Garden thing, Woodley, Cyborg, Paige Van Zandt. Hold on, let me see if there's. Let me just do a quick check. See what else is out there.
Yeah, guys, UFC 211 is coming up. It's one of the most anticipated cards for me that I'm looking forward to. Pretty much, this is like UFC 205 all over again to me. You got a whole list of A-list stars. One fight I'm really excited for is Frankie Edgar versus Yair Rodriguez. You also have JDS versus Stipe on there. You have Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Jessica Andrade. And I actually spoke with somebody who's helping Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and that is going to be dropping on tomorrow's episode of Pure Evil MMA. I'm just a little behind on some of the edits, guys, so bear with me on that one.
All right, so Eddie, I was just taking a look here at Reddit. We might already know this. Robbie Lawler versus Donald Cerrone at UFC 213. And then, excuse me, here's something relatively new. Anthony Pettis versus Jim Miller for UFC 213.
So he's making his lightweight return?
Return to lightweight. You got it.
Wow, really?
Yep.
So featherweight, no more. Because remember, he was going to be in the featherweight division as a fresh new start. He got the interim title shot against Max Holloway and broke his hand.
All right, did we know about Verdum versus Overeem 3?
I did not know about that.
Just added to UFC 213.
Breaking news to me.
Breaking news. Yep. Wow, how about that, huh? UFC 213 is now looking pretty damn good. You got Lawler versus Cerrone, Pettis versus Miller, and Verdum versus Overeem. And that's not even the main event. What is the main event? Is there one yet?
I don't think so. Not that I know. There was a lot of drama this week with Anderson.
No, that's Garbrandt Dillashaw.
Oh, that is. So that's International Fight Weekend.
Wow. That's shaping up to be a really good card.
So, Ted, I got to get your take on this, before we take off here. Anderson Silva, man, he's back in the news this week. He was threatening to retire unless he's given the interim title bout with Yoel Romero.
Yeah, that's insane.
Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, first of all, I think he's bluffing. He's not going to retire if he doesn't get this interim title shot. But also he already turn down a fight with Yoel Romero? I believe he did, because he turned down a fight with Rockhold and he turned down a fight with Romero. But now suddenly he gets this idea, or maybe his manager gets this idea. Oh, hey, well, let's make it. We'll fight Romero, but it's got to be for the interim belt. What interim belt? There is no interim belt.
Stop with these interim belts.
Right? Yeah, everybody wants an interim belt. No, I'm sorry, you don't get one. When maybe only a few months away, you got Bisping versus GSP. You only get the interim belt if the fighter's been out, if the champion has been out of action for a long time.
This is a way for Anderson Silva to really get his foot back in the door. A lot of people were getting really nervous of, is this the end of Anderson Silva? What did we see in that last fight against Derek Brunson? I mean, we did kind of see a frightened Derek Brunson, kind of like, oh my God, I'm fighting an idol. Didn't really put on one of his best performances. It was very close. The judges sided for Anderson Silva. So now this is kind of like, all right, I got a win underneath me. Let me get my foot back in the door. I'm going to challenge for an interim title shot and against Yoel Romero. Is that a smart idea, though, to fight Yoel Romero? But the way Yoel has been looking lately, he hasn't been too impressive. He's just kind of been kind of lucky. I mean, I really do love Yoel, but I don't know, man. Maybe he can even finish Anderson Silva. I don't know. I've never been fully behind Yoel.
Well, Silva's always had trouble with wrestlers. So he gets taken down, whether it's Chris Weidman or Chael Sonnen. He gets taken down, and Romero's got some of the best wrestling, ever in the UFC. So that's going to be a problem. Also he is, despite his age, he is a quick dude. He's fast. You know what I mean? I mean, he just pulls some shit out of where'd that come from? A spinning back fist against Jacare Souza and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I think Anderson's master plan is, okay, so I'm going to float this idea of the interim belt, right? And if it's accepted, and if I win, well, then my next fight will have to be against whoever owns it. I mean, if it's Bisping or whoever owns the title at that point. So you're absolutely right. That's his foot in the door. He's going to fast track himself to the title because he wants to get the title and then he's just going to retire. I can guarantee it. If he were to win the interim belt and then win the title, he'll retire that night.
Man, I do want to see that Bisping fight again because that was a very controversial fight. I mean, we've talked about this plenty of times. And right after that, man, it just seemed like a string of bad luck for Anderson. That was a huge fight for him to get his foot back in the door. This is the only way to do it now, and I think that he's really making some good plans here by calling out Yoel. I was excited to see the Kelvin Gastelum fight, but I was nervous for Anderson. Yeah. I think Anderson actually has a shot against Yoel here, and then if he beats him against Bisping, man, I think he takes Bisping and gets that belt back.
Well, I just I don't know. I just don't see him getting past Romero. But I definitely don't see the UFC. I see them calling his bluff. They're gonna be like, "No, you're not going anywhere. You're not gonna retire. Quit talking shit.
He sounded like
you're not gonna retire." What's that?
He did sound like an 8-fight deal not too long ago, something like that.
Oh yeah. The other thing was he claims that the UFC promised him when he signed that deal, hey, if GSP comes back, you get a shot at him. You can fight him.
Huh.
And now he's like, what the fuck's going on here? How come I'm not fighting? How come he's fighting Bisping? How many times did I bail you out? Like I guess that's how he sees it. I guess they did kind of count on him for a few things here and there.
UFC 200 is a good example. He stepped up, 24-hour notice.
That's true. I think he's probably thinking of a couple other things. Maybe one of those times that he fought light heavyweight, he kind of did that. I don't know if I want to say on short. Well, I don't know. Honestly, don't know. But he's thinking of a couple of examples of when he helped the UFC out, and he's like, "Oh, this is how you thank me."
He deserves it, man. Just like GSP deserves whatever he wants. Anderson's one of those guys as well.
Well, and we're just gonna have to see how it all shakes out. But I mean, he needs an opponent, and my hope was that he was going to fight Vitor in a rematch on that 212 card. It's in Rio. It's a Brazilian card. They had the one fight, but I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be like battle. It would have been battle of the dad bods,
Yeah, I don't want to see Vitor fight Anderson Silva in his last fight. I don't know, man. I don't.
That's
know.
right, because Vitor says he's retiring after this fight.
Yeah,
exactly. He's matched up with Nate the Great Marquardt, and he says after this fight, or he didn't say retirement. If you look at his words, I believe he said, "This is my last fight in the UFC."
Oh snap! I didn't know that.
Now, maybe I'm looking too far into it, right? Maybe I'm trying to find something. Maybe I'm trying to find something that's not there, but that I believe is the way he put it.
That's good. That's good listening right there.
I don't know. Well, you know.
But you know what? I want to know what Yoel thinks of all this. Have you heard of Yoel kind of responding to this in recent news? Because I wouldn't be surprised if he took this shot, because that would seal him as next, even though he already is. Now you got the interim title. There is no getting over me. There is no jumping over me. I'm holding the interim title. I'm next for the actual shot, right?
That's a good point. Yeah, and you know, well, we had Whitaker beating Jacare, and we know that Romero beat Jacare, but then Romero tested positive. He failed a drug test. So does that negate Romero's win over Jacare? See, a lot of people thought that Jacare should have gotten the title shot, but now he lost to Whitaker, so Bobby Knuckles is up, and a lot of people think that Whitaker is going to fight Rockhold.
So I just found what Yoel responded with.
Oh, okay.
So, and I quote, this is from Yoel Romero: "I fight only with Anderson for the interim belt. If not him, I will wait for my time for the belt."
Well, in that case, if he's waiting, and if Whitaker's waiting, why don't you just have the two of them fight it out?
Forgot about that one too.
You know, I mean, because you know, we don't know when, for sure. We don't know when Bisping and GSP are going to fight. Let's just, I mean, when have you heard? I've heard like October or September, October. You know,
a couple of different dates. Yeah.
We're in May, June, July, August. Like if Bisping says I'm going to be fighting in MSG, I could be fighting in MSG in a few months. So, you know, June, July, August, yeah, September, October. Let's say something like that. Heck, you could have Whitaker and Romero fight on the same card as Bisping and GSP, and then you could have the winner of Whitaker versus Romero step in the cage with the winner of GSP and Bisping and challenge him. Right then, I don't know. Just an idea.
And lastly, guys, before we part, Valerie Letourneau is going to be making her promotional debut versus Emily Ducote on July's Bellator 181 card. So I'm looking forward to that. I think Valerie can do some good over at Bellator. They weren't really giving her much here in the UFC. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these girls end up going to Bellator, Ted.
You know, but what divisions does Bellator have? They have a 135. They have like 2 female divisions, right?
Yeah, they have 135, and now I do believe they just had the Julia Budd versus. Was that at 135? No, that was 140.
125.
125. See, I'm
I think
lost now.
I think they just have 2 divisions. It may not, because they wanted to do something. I'm sure they wanted to do something different from the UFC, and at the the UFC, well, for not much longer, but doesn't have a 125 division.
Yeah, they're going to be fighting at flyweight, so.
So they got 125 and 135.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that was good. They always wanted, Bellator always wants to be the anti-UFC. The UFC zigs, they zag. They do like the Pride entrances with the Titantron and the catwalk. UFC doesn't do that. I watched. Somebody was posting some stuff on Reddit. I think it was last week, of some old UFC clips, like Chuck Liddell's entrance for, it was like UFC 40 or 43. I mean, they had the pyro going, and they had the catwalk, and then they, like, where you walked out was like almost like an octagon ring with lights and all that, like WWE style stuff. Yep, yeah, that's the way it used to be, and they thought that was good.
Bellator sticks with it still.
Yeah, but now the UFC's kind of in this stripped down. We're just gonna have the fighters walk out, and that's it. No,
Yeah.
no pyro, no big screens, nothing.
I like the way they do it in the UFC. They walk out of the hockey tunnels, and then they got the lights above the octagon. I think that's perfect. It looks more professional, honestly, and I'm more into that. But we're comfortable seeing the WWE entrances. That kind of gets us all fired up. Hear the music, you know what I mean? It gets you fired up. So there are some people that love it. There's people that hate it.
There was that cheesy intro. It was before and he actually lost that fight too. They really played him up. They had an intro done by Mask, the late Mask from the Tap Out crew.
Salute.
And he was saying, "Oh, Chuck Liddell's an assassin. He's a killer. He's a this. He's a that. He's unrelenting. He is unforgiving, or whatever." Oh, they're going on and on and on and on and on, and then Chuck lost to Randy Couture. It's kind of the kiss of death right there, doing that big intro for the guy. East Side Rider checking in. Richard checking in. He says, Yoel accepted the fight in principle on Ariel's show Monday. The fight against Anderson, I guess.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Like what you were referring to.
Yeah, that's where I pulled the quote from.
Oh, so he said either he's going to fight Anderson for the interim belt or he'll wait.
I mean, there's no point in waiting. Stay fresh, get in there, fight Anderson. But then again, you are taking a risk. You are fighting Anderson Silva. But if there's one thing that we haven't seen from Anderson Silva that we're always waiting for, because it can happen at any second, he could finish anybody at this blink of an eye. But he just hasn't been pulling the trigger on that. Look at the 5th round against Bisping. He could have probably ended the fight. He probably could have ended Bisping. He was just being shy, I guess. He hasn't been really pulling the trigger. Look at the Brunson fight. Any second he could have done something. Nothing happened. It's kind of like this fear that you have of Silva.
Do you think it's a fear? Or do you think it's just that he's old? He's very old.
I'm talking about his opponents. Like, there's just this fear.
Oh, the opponents. Oh, well, yeah, sure, they should be. I thought you were talking about Anderson Silva.
No, I am talking about Anderson Silva. He hasn't been pulling the trigger. But his opponents have, like, this fear of him that really... we saw it in the Brunson fight. They didn't want to stand toe-to-toe with them because they were afraid that any second something bad could happen. It kind of made them a little nervous, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there was a bit of that, with Brunson. It's like, oh, my God, I'm fighting a legend, know. Yeah, it's a bit starstruck. But maybe Anderson is starting to realize he's slowing down, and they can't fight the way he used to.
Well, we heard it in his corner when he was fighting Bisping on that return. He was like, he thought he heard his leg crack. You got to remember what happened to this guy.
Right.
It's got to be traumatizing,
Yeah. Wow.
Well, what, Ted? Any last thoughts?
No, just East Side Rider was going off what you were saying about Valerie Letourneau. Valerie at 125, that's her ideal weight.
Yeah.
So he's agreeing with you there. So
there's a lot of girls that would rather fight at 125. That's why I was saying, But then again, there's that rumor, So we're gonna have to wait and see.
I would be. I would bet you any money that Joanna would then want to be the 125 champ as well.
Well, she's already called for that. She's really the one pushing for it.
Yeah, so she's going to be she'll be the first female dual weight champion.
And why not, man? She's been going in there and she's been delivering, so.
Yep.
We're going to have to see what happens. Ted, it's been a crazy week for me here at Pure Evil MMA here on the East Coast in Connecticut in New Haven. Spent a little time with my mother. I haven't really been catching up on any of my my MMA news recently because there's just not that much going on with the delay of UFC 211. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I'll tell you what, Ted, I was able to cover line fights this week at Foxwoods on Friday night. That was amazing. And if you guys want to check out the recap, it's going to be dropping tomorrow. So you do not want to miss it on iTunes at Pure Evil MMA. Sorry for the delay, but I just got a lot going on here in my life.
It's all right, man. That's okay. I'm sure they'll understand. You got a lot of people supporting you, so they'll understand, man.
Shout out to the Pure Evil Army. Ted, you know what we like to do, man. What videos have you released on your channel for everybody to go check out on YouTube?
Well, I did a live chat today, the lunchtime chat, just for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. We talked about kind of what we talked about today.
Yeah.
Bisping, GSP, Masvidal,
The confusion.
Also, I talked to our friend Minion.
Oh.
He's upset because Bellator 179, which is in London, is actually going to be on a 1 hour delay.
Fuck, stop doing that, yo.
Yeah. Now, does that mean everywhere a 1 hour delay or just in the UK? I took it to mean it was just in the UK. It was a 1 hour delay, but regardless, it's stupid. I think it's stupid.
What do I say every time Bellator has an event? This is their one flaw that they do this. No one's going to tune in when they find out who the freaking winner is an hour ahead of time. It takes all the excitement out of it. It's like people walking out the movies telling you what happened. People can't say, "Oh, stay off of social media." Dude, I cover the sport. I can't live from something that already happened. Come on.
It's a bit disappointing, especially when they've got a solid card. And it's London or England, the UK is a nice big market, for them. And I mean, it's where they have a presence other than the United States. They don't really have one in Brazil.
Why do they do that, but the UFC doesn't do that? Why is Bellator do this 1 hour delay? Do they really think it doesn't affect the viewers? Like, come on, really?
I don't know. Maybe they.
It's weird. Bad business.
It's a 1 hour. You know what? I can't help but think it's got something to do with advertisers. Somehow, I can't put it all together right at this moment, but they are so dependent on that, right? Like they don't care about the gate. They don't care about putting people in the seats. You've seen Bellators where there's a lot of empty seats. UFC is concerned about seats, and because they always talk about the gate. Here's what we drew on the gate. Here's how many fans we had there, and then they're concerned about pay-per-views, of course. That's big bucks.
Oh yeah.
But Bellator is not. That's a different model. They run on TV, so they make their revenue off of ads. So it's got to have something to do with the advertisers, whoever they have lined up, that are going to advertise on this show. That's all I can think of.
Then instead of doing the hour delay, then just put the fights an hour ahead of time. You know what I mean? Like then just erase that hour and just instead of doing the first fight an hour early, just wait an hour and then do it then. None of it makes sense to me. I don't get it. And that's a beautiful card. Every time this happens, Ted, I'm excited for it, and then I know who wins, and you're just like, oh, well, whatever,
Yeah. Yep.
Just doesn't work. Doesn't work in this sport to do that.
Yeah. So Minion's not happy about it either. So I talked about that on my video. And what else did we talk about? Paige Van Zandt. That was a pretty popular one. Oh, even before last week. Oh no, Mickey Gall had something. Oh, it was a week ago. He revealed that he actually had a cut over his eye for the for the CM Punk fight. Yeah, some people were calling it an eye-gina.
An eye-gina.
Because it kind of looked like a mini lady part on his eyebrow.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to get in trouble for that, keeping that a secret. That was like the biggest moment of the kid's life, so I really don't blame him there.
Right, yeah. Sometimes, don't ask, don't tell, right? Maybe like Pearl Gonzalez.
Well, guys, if you want to go check it out, make sure you just go to YouTube and search Ted Czech. That's TEDCZECH. Subscribe to his channel, and that's where you can find this show live every Wednesday night after the Ultimate Fighter Season 25. Next week, it's going to be a blast. Let us know what you guys thought about this week in MMA, and also tonight's episode of the Ultimate Fighter Season 25, Episode 3, Mehdi Baghdad against Jesse Taylor. Ted, can't wait for next week, man. I always look forward to it. I had a great night. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, frontproofmedia.com. That's Ted Czech. We're out.